Championship VI, the draft portion well and truly underway. My name's Riley Knight, joined by Eduardo Sage-Gallic. Eduardo, we've already seen one draft deck assembled, and it's time for another. Our second featured drafter, Jessica Estephan, MPL player, of course. And we'll see how things shook out on her side of the table there. Did you get a chance to see our first draft?
Yeah, I got to see Shahar's draft, and I mean, he got very lucky with that Lockmere Serpent, but honestly, I was just not a fan of the deck. Paul and Marshall kind of hinted that maybe he should have stayed a bit more open, because then he would have been able to get some green pickups. Probably just stick to one plan. Got really lucky with the Serpent, but yeah, it's going to be... He's going to have to use gameplay to get out of that one.
Well, it's interesting you say that you're wanting to stay open here, because we're going to see once we get underway with Estephan's draft here, we're going to see someone who does indeed stay open for actually quite a while and really consider her options as the texture of the draft sort of unravels itself. So we're going to head down to the table in just a few moments, have a look at exactly who was at this table. Actually, we can check out who our hard-hitting heavyweights ready to rumble in round number one here, and you can see a stacked table, 3 MPL players there, in addition to a fair few challenges as well, 5 of them on the other side of the table. So sitting just 2 seats away from Shahar was Jessica here, Jessica Estephan. So obviously being passed to and then being passed from, that sort of stuff. So people who are watching the first draft, you're going to see some of those cards as they sort of, wheel and deal their way around the table there.
Yeah, the cards don't change, right? But I think that's one of the things that's important to always keep in mind. Decks are not strong or weak. It's all contextual. Yeah. If not many good cards are open at the table, then all the decks will be bad. But you're only playing within your pod. So, you're going to see maybe Jessica versus Shahar coming up as a match. But when I looked at Shahar's draft, there was a lot of power going late.
Yeah, it was a quite an interesting draft, a lot to get across. So let's get through it right now. Head down to the table for our replay, or our second draft, I should say, pre-recorded draft here with Jessica Estephan. So let's kick things off now with, well, Charming Prince is the rare here, but a couple of other options. Bog Naughty, a nice one. Trapped in the Tower, some premium removal. So what are your thoughts immediately in pack 1, pick 1?
There's already, in my view, the top Trapped in the Tower and Fairy Guidemother are some of the top white commons. But the highest power would be Maraleaf Pixie, but that's 2 colors, and in a set where you kind of want to stay open into the monocolor options, that's why you see that card late usually, is because you don't want to commit. So I kind of like the Charming Prince here, but Jessica's putting that Trapped in the Tower because it is one of the more powerful cards in the pack, and it might get taken quite a little bit after.
For the Charming Prince there, but you can see prioritizing those white cards initially, having a look at and again, not interested in the gold Maraleaf Pixie, looking to potentially, stay a little more open by just taking a single colored card. Let's see what's up in pack number 2. Ooh, there's another white follow-up in Sir Alan, the Lion's Claw. Not a whole lot else going on. Charmed Sleep is a nice option in blue, and that Covetous Urge, very difficult to cast, but the rewards are there. But following up a Charmed Prince with a Sir Alan would seem to be a good spot to be in.
Yeah, for like Charmed Sleep, Covetous Urge, and Sir Alan kind of hitting similar power levels. But usually when you have the exact same power level, you try to, go for the same color. So that's why, yeah, the Sir Alan pick there makes sense. There was also a So Tiny in the pack, so quite a lot of blue power in this pack.
Yeah, indeed, in addition to that Charmed Sleep. So maybe some of those cards will come back on the wheel ski. Let's have a look and see what's going on with pick number 3. Maybe some more white cards to go with the first 2 picks. Fortifying Provisions, Knight of the Keep. They're not too exciting, but I do like that Shepherd of the Flock. Let's have a look at what... Oh, Brimstone Trebuchet. I know it's a bad card, but I can't get enough of untapping.
Oh, I love that card so much.
I love that card.
There's actually a deck I took it over Revenge of Ravens, but that's the story for another time. Here, the Shepherd, clearly the pick, in my view. Stays on collar, and a pretty powerful option.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty flexible.
I mean, you can just get a lot of value out of it. You can save a creature from removal, and at the end of the day, it's a 2-mana 3/1. So I like this pick a lot here from Estephan. Makes sense with the opening 2 picks as well. It does go well with Sir Alan as well. You can see we've put it up as Usher to Safety, but it is, of course, the Shepherd of the Flock. That's the adventure mode on that card. White kind of drying up a little bit here as we see just a Shining Armor. There's a Ginger Brute as well, but across all colors, this pack is a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, so I wouldn't go with... I have to take the best card because there's no real best card. So so while this might be a little early for a Ginger Brute, I totally understand the pick. White decks tend to be aggressive. Top commons include Fairy Guidemother and Ardent Veil Tactician, cards that are much better aggressively than defensively.
So backing that up with a 1-mana 1/1 haste can sometimes do some work. Speaking of 1-mana 1/1s, here's Beloved Princess, and that is the only white card in the pack. So Estephan now is going to have to make a decision. There's Scalding Cauldron as well. That's an off-color, or that's an artifact there, and can slot into any deck. But maybe this is the time that we head into a second color.
Yeah, it can be this. You could take the Paladin, but the Cauldron like leaves you open here, so I totally understand the pick. You know, deciding to stay mono white, I think here. All the cards are kind of medium, so you might as well take the one that's flexible.
And I mean, Scalding Cauldron's a good card.
Yeah,
it's a good card. It's not, 4 mana.
It's reliable
for a lightning bolt effect is fine. There's Escape to the Wilds. That's not going to be the pick here. I wouldn't have thought a double off-color rare, but we'll see what again, Estephan has done a good job of staying open, but no white cards to be seen here. So it's Garenbrig Carver.
Yeah, so you can go into the green-white Adventures archetype. The key of that archetype is using, is essentially having a ton of creatures and using the adventure creatures as pump spells, and usually that helps you with that balance. Normally, these aggressive decks want pump spells, but they don't have enough creatures. Adventure solves that problem.
That's right.
That's the strength of green-white.
You can split your interaction without reducing your creature count. Here's a prized Griffin brought to the front of the pack. That's going to be the pickup for Estephan. There was another green card in the Garenbrig Carver there. Not a great card, the Carver, and I bet you'll be happy to be back on the white train there.
Yeah, it's mostly just staying open. You may be in green or not, but that's quite a late outflank here.
All right.
I really like that here.
A couple of white cards here. I mean, better than the Happily Ever After. Maybe debatable as to whether you want to take the Griffin or not, but you can see Estephan maybe having to think about, there it is, the outflank.
Take the March and Juza line. Whatever card, if you're not sure between two cards, take the cheapest one.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, following that advice there, and we see, as you can see in our draft dashboard on the left-hand side of things, pretty clear-cut white deck so far, and by no means married to that green card. Shining Armor is going to be another white card here. So we headed into this draft talking about staying open, the importance of, and Estephan's certainly doing that. She hasn't picked up a second color.
The most important part of this draft, we're going to have a few whining picks. The picks are kind of going to be automatic. You take whatever the white card is.
Bartered Cow, take that one. It's not a great card, but it's white, so we'll see. Yep.
But the key is you're not playing Shining Armor. You're hoping not to play Battered Cow. The thing is, you want to tell the person in the seat next to you, if you are thinking about being in white, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see this at some of the, at higher levels of draft usually, is you take the card in your collar late, even if you have no intention of playing it, just so the other person gets the message, no, do not go in this.
And we're seeing that again here, because look, we've seen white cards in each of the last couple of packs, and even though they've all been stinkers, Estephan is hoovering them up, making sure, and another one here in Beloved Princess, making sure that her opponents, the people at the draft are going, okay, well, white's gone, white's cut.
Right, and that's why you see the Giant Opportunity Pass. Not a very good card, but it's one you pass, even though it might be playable, just because you know you won't play it, and it would incentivize the person you're passing to potentially be in green.
So check this out, Eduardo. This is pack number 1 here for Estephan, and she has one non-white, non-artifact card. So this is Estephan setting herself up for a big open in pack number 2. Maybe there'll be, a big red rare or blue rare or just any, but basically at any point now she can play any single color. I mean, if she opens like a, I don't know, again, like a Lockmere Serpent, right? That might be a little bit of a stretch, but at this point, Estephan's setting herself up for success here because this deck, or these cards so far, are a great baseline.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can kind of like go any direction. The main thing with staying mono color is that now you have access to 4 great cards. As I mentioned in the preview, those gold hybrid uncommons.
Right, yes.
Something like Resolute Rider, very hard for people to pick up. Well, that might get all the way to you because there's not many people that can just cast that card.
Now, look, overall card quality, we have to say pretty low in this pack, but it's more about, I mean, look, it starts off well. Charming Prince, Sir Alan, there's Scalding Cauldron in there, Outflank, obviously a nice pickup, but a lot of that, I mean, there's just some real clunkers. But Estephan has planted her flag. She's come in and she said, look, I'm drafting white here, hands off. And now, as I say, stands to be rewarded in pack number 2. As we get into our second pack here, pack 2, pick 1. Let's see what Estephan's got on the boil here. Maybe looking to, again, pick up a high-impact rare across all colors. She should be able to play it. Let's have a look.
As long as it's not a multicolor rare.
As long as it's not a non-white multicolor rare, then it should be all right. Okay, let's have a look.
That?
It's
How
a
about the best
Realm
mythic in the set?
Giant. all right. Okay, well that's the easiest pick that I think
Arcana
anyone's
of
ever
Absolution is a real problem for her deck.
So that's true, right? And that card, there's no way that card's wheeling. But I mean, you never pass. You're drafting white. You're never passing the Realm Cloak Giant.
No, I mean the card is really, really strong.
The card is just bonkers here.
Like, see, the problem with most drafts in Limited is that you then have to kind of hold resources, which tells your opponent, like, well, they might have this, have to play around it. But with that, you get both sides of the cake, because then you get a 7/7 Vigilant to close out the game.
Yeah, it's an absolute house of a card, this one. And as you say, playing Wraths in Limited can be very powerful, but any opponent worth their salt will immediately recognize what you're up to and won't play into it. And Realm Cloak Giant, as you say, it solves that problem. You sweep away the board, you come back very strong with a huge 7/7, and so Estephan is off to the races here. Let's have a look at pack number. Pick 2 here. Sir Alan and a Fairy Guidemother, and a Spinning Wheel, and a Trapped in the Tower. Spoiled for choice here.
Yeah, and this pick is closer than it looks, because between Realm Cloak Giant and already having a Sir Alan, we're kind of already heavy on our mana cost. So taking another 5-drop, especially when you have a Prize Griffin as well, less value. So that's why you see the pick being close. I could understand taking either of these cards. I think Trapped in the Tower or Sir R, they're kind of all defensible.
It's just always Sir Alan. But it's just always. Alan's getting in there. Alan's getting in there. He's giving the team +1/+1, swishing around the willow, and getting it done here for Team Rock and Roll. So that's a great pickup here. That's been the same pick in both pick 2, pack 1 and 2 now. So double Sir Alan. Now this one a little bit quieter here. We've got another outflank, got Flutter Fox, got a Henge Walker as well, which is also under consideration. But Estephan well and truly in white here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to branch out. And I really like the Flutter Fox here. Flutter Fox is specifically quite good in mono white, because you have to play artifacts.
That's very true.
To fill out the monocolor deck. So Flutter Fox, for example, Flutter Fox into that Henge Walker. Henge Walker is a late pickup for a lot of decks. Flutter Fox, turn 2, turn 3 Henge Walker. That's a really good aggressive curve.
What are they going to do? Block? No, they're not.
Oh, and there we talked.
Here's that Fireborn Knight. Oh, and another Sir Alan, however.
No, but he got it. I mean, we got enough 5-drops. The Fireborn Knight for me here seems like the pickup. It's a 4-drop, which you don't have as much of. It works really well with something like Fairy Guidemother to close out a game in lightning fashion. And I think for curve reasons, you have to take Fireborn Knight. You could argue Sir Alan is more powerful, but I think you have to take the Fireborn Knight here.
You can see down at the bottom left-hand side of your screen there, the curve being updated in real time as this draft gets underway. And yes, it's a good point that you mentioned, Eduardo, the fact that she's certainly not lacking for 5-drops. Let's have a look at this another pack. And another Fireborn Knight.
Perfect.
Just like that. Looks like a pair of twins.
And now Trapped in the Tower is not what we want. What we want is Fairy Guidemother and Fireborn Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. Pump spells, get in with that double striker, and for sure. I mean, Estephan now is in a good position. Either mono white all the way, or Fireborn Knight allows her to move into white red.
Yeah. Going into white-red, I would probably stay monocolor, but one of the biggest reasons would be if you had the Night Lord.
Sure, an Inspiring Veteran. Even something like a Rimrock Knight with those Fireborn Knights is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that's also good. And that's why, that Silver Flame Squire is actually, it's usually like kind of always a medium card.
So if you're using it on a Fireborn Knight, you're doing really well, because then that thing can block next turn as well as attacking for 8. It's huge, but it's going to be ideal at range. Another good card to combine with Fireborn Knight.
Yeah, and I was getting to that is not just the combination, but it's also, your curve's high, so you're definitely playing 17 lands. And it works with the Fireborn Knights, and Fairy Guidemother there, perfect. But Jessica probably felt, you know what, I have enough playable cards. So this allows me to up my playables count by having a kind of a land spell.
Yep.
And but Fairy Guidemother definitely the pick here, and a perfect pickup at the right time.
Yep. Really good pickup with so much of what's going on in Estephan's deck, especially those double Fireborn Knights there. That's going to send them into the air and get them frisky in the red zone. Let's have a look now at the next pack. 7 Dwarves. Really, wow. We've sort of taken a steep drop off here. In the quality of playables. Bartered Cow and 7 Dwarves. Neither of these cards particularly exciting.
Yeah, but look at how confident Jessica is in the deck. To be fair, you take the 7 Dwarves because if you look at the curve, the number of 2-drops is low, and if you branch out into red, that way you get an extra 2-drop. So that's why you see that pickup there. All
right, nothing too much going on in this pack. Looks like there's Barge in now that we've cemented ourselves in red as well. That's going to be the pick. Fortifying Provisions. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but the main thing here is these pickups don't mean necessarily that Jessica will go into red. It's more I could.
Okay. All right. So you don't think she's committed just yet?
Not quite. No,
right.
not now.
All right. Fair enough. Well, there's Barrow Witches, so maybe but you know, with the Night synergies, bringing them back from beyond the grave, we'll see.
I think with the amount of 5-drops, really. But there we go. That Hengewalker.
Okay. All right.
The pickup because you're monocolor, so you get these free frees for free that normally decent common. Very, very late.
Yeah.
And okay.
And now a Bringerdude, as they call them. There's a Ginger Brute. And I think we're going to finish things off with, well, I mean, Fortifying Provision, sure.
Like look at this curve. It's nothing powerful, like in terms of like power level. It's just Ginger Brute, Flutter Fox, Hengewalker. 1/2 free punch, and you go turn 1 evasive creature, turn 2 evasive creature, turn 3 free. Like. And then you have the rest of the deck coming up after that.
Yep. It's kind of worked out pretty nicely here for Estephan, who right now you can see sorting through those playables, seems to be firming up into red-white, especially with those Fireborn Knights. And but still, I mean, at this stage, just actual mono white is still well and truly on the table.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is a mono white deck that has the option to go red white. You'd go mono white if you could, but maybe you can branch out into some red spells because why not? It's just that you don't really want to put 6 mountains in your deck for 7 dwarves or barge in.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You want your second color to actually perform a vital role, not just be the sort of the leftover, the dregs, the scraps of the draft.
But like if you open Scorching Dragonfire or Searing Barrage, well, Searing Barrage would be probably a little expensive in the deck. You might play it, but something like Scorching Dragonfire you could pick up and play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Even if we're not getting adamant on some of those red removal spells, they're still at a good rate for a game of limited, and so here, I mean, look, we'll see what's in store for Pack 3. Estephan will be looking to pick up more playables, so she doesn't have to play stuff like the Beloved Princess, maybe some of the other weaker cards.
Yeah, but for me, the deck is already shaping up. Like to me, there's already more playables than Shahar's 2-color deck, and we're pretty much in 1 color.
Yeah. All right. Well, pack number 3 bearing down upon us, and Estephan, of course, will be hoping to. As we've mentioned, sort of trim away some of those cards that maybe you're not too excited to play. The Beloved Princesses of the format. Yeah. I mean, they'll do. It's a warm body. It attacks and blocks, Eduardo, but it's not particularly. You're not writing a letter to Mum. You're not saying, "Oh, Mum, I did it. I did it at the Mythic Championship today. I did it. I drafted about 1 mana 1/1. Woo!" Maybe you write a letter to Mum about your Resolute Rider, however.
Yeah, and this is actually so. Resolute Rider for me is the best card in this pack for Jessica's deck, for sure. One thing you could consider is taking Fairy Guidemother with, I don't think anyone's in white-black or mono-white or mono-black. So I'm going to take Fairy Guidemother and hope to wield the Resolute Rider.
Right, okay, sure.
But you could also just lock it down and just take the 4/2 indestructible creature.
That's the big brain play. That's the 200 IQ play.
I've seen it happen a few times, but it's quite risky.
All right. Well, it looks like Estephan is a little risk averse here. She's not going to take the chance, and so slams that Resolute Rider into her picks.
Yeah,
it's a great pickup.
Yeah, there's already enough 1-drops, and you can pick up other pump spells, so Fairy Guidemother is replaceable. Resolute Rider a little harder.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Silver Flame Squire is a nice one. There's that Searing Barrage you were talking about, a little bit expensive. A second Happily Ever After.
There's no happy
Silver Flame Squire, great card. Great card, especially with those Fireborn Knights. Pump spell, I mean, attacks and blocks, but I don't know, can it beat out the Searing Barrage?
Yeah, I think so. You can stay mono. Now that you've taken Resolute Rider, taking Searing Barrage is essentially saying, I'm going to play this over Resolute Rider. Since it's even free mountains in your deck might make Rider come down on turn 5, and with your number of 5-drops, that's not great. So I really like the Squire pickup here. Works well with the Knights. And honestly, it's I would say serviceable 2-drop. I would say it's a 2-drop.
Yes. It is a playable Magic card. Yes, indeed. No, look, the Resolute Rider is... Oh, sorry. The Silver Flame Sky is fine. It's fine. Yeah. It's not a great card. It's not a terrible card. It's right there in the middle, and it's going to do some good work in Estephan's deck. Here's a Lonesome Unicorn, so another couple of warm bodies. Now, that Prize Griffin, I think in a vacuum, is just the better card, but with so many 5-drops already, maybe we want to lower the curve, take that Lonesome Unicorn as a 3-drop, effectively, with a 5-drop kicker.
Yeah, speaking of lowering the curve, there aren't many free drops in Jessica's deck. You could see that number down there at the bottom left, just free. So while Grange, again, could be a spell, I understand the pickup here of it doesn't matter how bad the free drop is sometimes.
I mean, yeah, 3 mana 2/2, again, we're not with the Postal Service is going out of business with how many letters to mum we're not writing home with this draft, but it fills the hole in the curve. So that's heads up drafting here from Estephan.
Yeah,
Righteousness, bit of a stinker, but Fairy Guide Mother,
it's pretty much what we want.
Yeah,
Edgewall
exactly.
Innkeeper would obviously be extremely powerful.
What's he doing in the pack still?
I mean, it's pack free, so if you're not there,
I love this card. I'll take it over anything.
Well, we saw Shahar hate draft one pick 4.
If I'm in like red blue and I have no adventure cards and I see, I'm like, nah, all right, we're shifting gears. We're shifting gears, everyone. Let's get into the adventure deck.
And that's why you're with me here in the
Yes,
booth.
exactly right. Yes, no, I've picked my lane. Don't even worry about that. All right, another prize griffin is available here.
You could, yeah. So
Crashing Drawbridge.
So Crashing Drawbridge is kind of a weird card, but there are a few uses for it. It's very powerful specifically with Sir Arlen, since giving that haste pushes that card into a new
Sir
dimension.
Alan, yes, of course, yeah, yep. For that extra, the +1/+1 effect, and that's going to be the pickup here for Estephan.
It's also a really strong sideboard card if you're in a race situation, because the 0/4 wall can essentially buy you time, and in the late game you can kind of deal the damage out of nowhere. Oh, and that's the card where you're like, oh wait, now I have to remember my whole draft. Hushbringer. Because it's one of the cards like early on, or when you're drafting online, you're kind of like, okay, I can see how this is in context. Here, you got 20 seconds for your pick. Do you remember what you have?
Yep. How many of my own cards does it switch off? And Estephan crunches the numbers and decides to take the idyllic range. Maybe just for the art alone. Look at that absolutely stunning card there. Nothing in this pack. Stone, nothing. Maybe the Dwarven Mine if we're going to play red. Or maybe the Lochthwain Gargoyle. Oh my goodness. Ugh.
You're basically looking at what's my best sideboard card if you're taking a card for you. So do you want a cheap creature that can block in the 0-free Gargoyle, or do you want a Prophet of the Peak when you try to go over the top?
Oh, no. Okay, we're switching gears. Oh, right. We're getting into, we're playing Bant now. There's a Thunderous Snapper. All of a sudden, we've shifted gears completely. Just play 5-color control.
Or I think you want to keep the turtle at home and not in someone else's deck.
No. There's still time. We can pivot here. We can pivot.
All that glitters is also, I think, a little. So it's late in the sense that it's really hard to contextualize. There are a few artifacts in Jessica's deck, but I think the Squire is just more reliable.
I think the Squire is better pick. Once again, we've got those, we've got cards like Fireborn Knight, even Resolute Rider with pump spells, gain a bit of extra life. You've got a minion mana to fly around, and another.
That is a premium 2-drop coming back to Jessica.
That is a surprising card to see that late there. So Estephan really benefiting from having picked her lane and stuck to it pretty heavily here with these white cards. There's that happily ever after. Just go. No one is interested in ending this story with a happily ever after here.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just running out of the deck, trying to pick some artifacts. I don't think you're going to see the Gargoyle in the deck.
No, I don't think so. I would just take the rare, man. Just take the rare.
Another Idyllic Grange. So a lot of ways to actually make these 2-free double strikers into free 4s. And that's a big difference, because then when you can pump it, it gets through pretty much almost any blocker.
Wolf's Quarry here, again, probably not going to be played. And a Giant Skewer, the second last pick. Let's have a look at the last card, Eduardo, and we can maybe give our final thoughts on this deck. It's been quite impressive. Dwarven Mine is the card that wraps things up here. But Eduardo, one thing that I've noticed about this is that Estephan sort of set herself up to kind of stay open, or explore her options when it came to what she was going to pair white with, and that option never really came.
Right, so you stick to mono white, and you saw the payoff. You can't play Resolute Rider and
Fireborn Knight.
Yeah, and Fireborn Knight in the same deck without sticking to a monocolor deck. So her 4-drops and 5-drops are very powerful, because we also have Sir Arlen. The question is, I didn't see much removal apart from obviously Realmcloak Giant, which is amazing. There's only really an outflank, so the evasion is going to be important. Ginger Brute, Flutter Fox, that's going to be really key in her deck, because even a Grange on a Ginger Brute, all of a sudden that's 2 unblockable damage per turn potentially. On a Flutter Fox, that's a free flyer. That's going to be really key to the deck, is ways to push in that damage. Fairy, Guide Mother, all of that's going to matter.
Well, I tell you what, my friends, we have a lot of magic coming your way in the coming time. The players, I can hear them behind us in the hall. They are getting seated, shuffling up, and getting ready to go. We're going to fill our feature match with 8 of the best, and you're going to be able to watch every minute of it as the day unfolds. We've got to take a quick break, get things set up, but after that, we'll be back live here from Richmond, so don't go anywhere.